Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I am joined by a member of the Cornell women's hockey team, Izzy Daniel. Welcome to the podcast, Izzy, and thank you so much for coming on. How's everything going?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt. Pretty good. Back in Minnesota, doing what I can to get ready for next season.
Yeah, obviously, a few months ago, the Ivy League announced that the season was canceled. I guess, where were you when you found out, and what was your reaction to that news?
I was in Ithaca. I went back this fall. We had a Zoom with the whole Cornell athletic department and then our team afterwards. And it was disappointing, especially after my first year ended so abruptly too. And, we're just disappointed. We've been working so hard to get ready for this season. To see it just get canceled, it was tough.
Yeah, and how are you going about preparing for next year, knowing you have almost a year and a half to prepare for it now?
Yeah, it's different. But being back in Minnesota, I've been lucky. The gyms have been open, the rinks have been open. So just I'm really trying to work on my off ice strength and conditioning this fall and summer. I've been really working on that. So getting in the gym a lot and skating when I can. So so far it's going well.
Yeah, what does your training look like, and what challenges have you faced doing so? Because I know, at least where I'm from, ice time has been kind of hard to find, and gyms have been hard to find as well because it's so limited due to COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky in the fall. I was back in Ithaca on campus, so we were able to train a little bit as a team. It was pretty limited with all the protocols and stuff. But then when I came back to Minnesota, all gyms were pretty much open. My gym I go to was allowing people in, so I get in there 3 to 4 times a week, and then we have a few group of girls down here who are I also play at different schools in the Ivy League who have been finding ice time to skate together, so it hasn't been too hard.
And what does your on-ice training look like so far? What are you trying to work on in your game?
Uh, right now I'm trying to focus on my shot, a lot of off-ice shooting, just individual skills mostly,
Hmm.
obviously. So we do a lot of 3-on-3, little 3-on-3 league, and I do this Power Edge Pro training, a lot of stick handling, skating, just anything.
Yeah, what's something you think you need to improve on the most from your game, especially looking back at last year, and especially since it being your first year in college hockey? What do you think you need to improve on the most for your game?
Yeah, I think I learned a lot last year. I came in from high school. We didn't really do any off ice anything, no systems. I just came in kind of not knowing what to expect. And our seniors and all the leadership and my coaches on the team last year really taught me that to be a good player or a great player in the NCAA, you really got to focus on the off season and getting better because that's what everyone else is doing. So I think now I really know what it takes to, take that next step in my game. So that's what I'm trying to focus on.
Yeah, what's your off-ice training looking like? Are you doing a lot of weights and stuff, trying to get yourself stronger so you can? Because I know a big adjustment in college hockey is you're playing against a lot older players, so you have to kind of build up that strength so you can go against them, especially during puck battles.
Yeah, I think building up my strength, explosiveness, all those things go into it, my conditioning, um, just everything.
Now, have you been watching any college hockey so far this year?
Yeah, I've watched a few games. It was tough for me to watch, honestly, some of the games because we just weren't playing. But I watched the women's Frozen Four, and I've been watching the men's tournament a little bit. And it's exciting to watch, but I'm just excited to, get back on the ice and play a game.
Now, are you watching anything in particular when you watch those women's hockey games? Is there anything you're looking for, to improve your game, when you watch it? Because obviously it's a little bit different watching a college hockey game versus actually playing in one.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, I'll pick up something like someone will make a nice play, and I'm like, okay, that might be something I want to add into my game. But mostly, just watch. It's good hockey.
Hmm.
That Northeastern Wisconsin game was a really good game. Unfortunate way to end it there in OT, but just a lot of good players in the women's game right now, so it's fun to watch.
Now, how significant was the Ivy League's absence in college hockey this year? Did you think they had a huge impact? Because it seemed like to me, especially with the rankings, without Cornell and Princeton being in the tournament, it seemed like there was something missing from the tournament, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to tell, but just ECAC this year only had 4 teams playing. Usually we'd have 12. But you never know. You never know what would have happened if we were playing. Hopefully we would have been, one of the top teams like we were last year, but hopefully we'll get back there next year.
Now, what are some of your goals and expectations for next year?
Um, it's I'm now haven't played a competitive hockey game in over a year, which is really weird to say. But I think for myself, I want to be a leader, lead by example is kind of how I pride myself on. And team perspective, obviously, we want to be competitive. Obviously, our top goal is to win a national championship. So yeah.
Yeah, and talk about the leadership skills that you're going to need for next year because you're going to be welcoming two new freshman classes essentially coming into the team this year.
Yeah, it's going to be different for sure. We're going to have a lot of turnover from my first year on the team and a lot of young players coming in. So it's going to be important that we establish an identity early and build that camaraderie from the get-go and have a really cohesive group. And some of the older players, upperclassmen, will be tasked with, welcoming those kids in and making sure they feel comfortable and helping them with whatever they need. And for myself, yeah, like I said, I'm not the loudest person. I'm more an introvert, but so I just try to lead by example, work hard, and yeah.
Now, I want to start off this podcast by talking about the beginning of your hockey career. You're from Minnesota. How did you start playing hockey and falling in love with the sport? Because obviously Minnesota is the state of hockey.
Yeah, for me, it was a little different actually. No one in my family played hockey. My uncle was the only one, so it wasn't like I was skating when I started walking. We didn't have that. My dad was a skier, and my mom was a big soccer player. So growing up, I played soccer. I loved baseball and tennis. And then I was 8 years old, and my neighbor was putting on his gear in the garage, ready to go to hockey. And I was just over at his house, and I ran back to my house, and I was like, "Dad, I want to play hockey." And the next week, I was put in mites as an 8-year-old, which is not what you're supposed to be doing. And the coach was like, "Hey, she's a little old for this. Uh, got to send her up higher." And then next year, I played with the boys, and that I really kind of just took off my second year and played with the boys for a few years, and then switched back over to girls 2 years before high school.
Now, who was your favorite player growing up?
Oh gosh. I don't know. I really like Pavel Datsuk. Just his hands were ridiculous, and it's fun to watch him. Him and Pavel Bure too. Uh, just a great player. So
Have you ever tried a Pavel Datsuk move like during a game or practice?
I like the one where he goes in, kind of pulls it back and flips it over the glove of the goalie. Tried that one a few times. Yeah, not as good as him, obviously, but it's kind of fun to do stuff like that.
Did it work though?
That's worked a few times.
That's all that matters then. If as long as
Yeah,
it works, it
yeah,
doesn't matter how pretty it is. That's kind of like what I've been told throughout
yeah,
my hockey career.
yeah.
Now, like I was just writing about before Cornell, you played for the Blake School. What was it like to play there? And talk about your experience as a whole.
Yeah, playing for Blake was the best 4 years of my life, both, as a hockey player and just off the ice. Like the relationships I made, I'm still best friends with a lot of people I played with. And the coaching staff there was unbelievable. It really helped me to where I am today. And I can't say enough good things about playing high school hockey in Minnesota, especially at Blake. It was an amazing experience.
How'd you get the opportunity to play with that school?
I actually went there since I was in kindergarten. So even before I played hockey, I was at Blake.
hmm So is that like Blake like I'm curious just about, so I know there's like a bunch of different schools in the Edina area. There's obviously Edina High School, Blake School. I guess like, is Blake like a different school district than Edina?
So Blake's like a private school. So anyone can go there you can live wherever and yeah. So that's there's a bunch of private schools, Blake, Breck, um, Visitation, St. Thomas Academy. So it's a little different than a public school, but smaller.
Yeah, and how did playing for Blake School help prepare you for college hockey with Cornell?
Yeah, I mean, at Blake, I played with so many great players. My freshman year, our senior class, Carly Bullock, Sylvie Wan. Obviously, Carly was a prolific scorer at Princeton, played against her last year. And so right from the get-go, in practice, I was competing against some of the best. And Yeah, I mean, it was just a lot of fun. I love going to the rink every day and hanging out with them in the locker room, and then obviously on the ice. We were a pretty good team, and we had a special bond that brought us to good places. So
Yeah, I want to talk to you more about some of the players you got to play with at Blake. One of those players was Madeline Wethington, and you obviously played with her sister Audrey Wethington. What was it like to be their teammate, and what were they like both on and off the ice? And obviously, Madeline won the Miss Hockey Award last year.
yeah, Madeline and Audrey, they're little. Obviously, Madeline's a defenseman, Audrey's a forward. They're both ultra competitive on the ice, and it was fun to go at it with them in practice every day. Obviously, I'm a forward, so going against Madeline always is a tough task, but it was fun. I think it made both of us better. So yeah.
Now, you're talking about playing with her earlier, but just what was it like playing with Kari Bullock, and how did she help your hockey development, especially as a freshman playing with her during her senior year?
Yeah, I think it was just eye opening to me. I mean, she scored like a hat trick every game. I think she had 50 plus goals her senior year, which is crazy. She broke the state tournament record for most goals in the tournament my freshman year. It was just kind of like, wow, she's a great player, good person. She was one of our captains. So my first year to look up to someone like her was it was a good way to start my high school career, and yeah, she was just fun to play with. I never played on a line with her really, but just watching her, she's a great example.
Now, I'm not from Minnesota, so what's the Minnesota high school hockey scene like, and what's it like being a player in that atmosphere and playing at the XL Center for those state tournaments? Because watching it from an outside perspective, it's kind of hard to understand, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to explain to people outside Minnesota. They don't really get the hype about it as much. But as a kid in Minnesota, your ultimate goal is to play on the state tournament down at the X. It's every kid's dream, and um, I was lucky to play in it twice my freshman and sophomore year, and it surpassed my expectations. Just it's a great event. They do a great job putting it on for both the boys and girls, and obviously the boys they sell out. It's a crazy experience. My brother actually got to play in it last year for Blake, and just crazy the amount of support that the teams get. It's a really cool to be a part of.
Is it weird talking to players who aren't from Minnesota just about that high school hockey scene, especially at Cornell? Because I know a lot of the players aren't from Minnesota.
Yeah, it's a different experience than everyone who played AAA or something like that. They don't really understand. We don't every Friday we get on a bus 15 minutes and go play, another school, and then they would be traveling every weekend. So it's unique, um, but it's great hockey, and it's a great place to play.
Now, what was your favorite memory you've ever had at Blake School hockey wise?
Ah, gosh, I gotta say, winning those two state championships was really special. But to get there, you have to win the section tournament, and each year we beat Breck in the section championship game. And my freshman year was in overtime, and it was really exciting. And yeah, I was just euphoric. It was so fun.
Now, talk about your recruitment process and why did you choose to go to Cornell?
Yeah, my recruitment process was kind of long. I just took my time, which I think really helped me pick the right school for me. And Cornell was one of my, first schools that contacted me, and I went out and visited there. And when I visited, just kind of felt like home, and the team welcomed me with open arms, and really felt like they really wanted to get to know me, and it just made me feel really comfortable. And after that visit, I still didn't decide. I just took my time, like I said. But then when I decided, I was 100% sure I want to go to Cornell. It's an amazing decision.
And what was the biggest adjustment you had to make to college hockey? Was it the speed or mental side of the game?
Yeah, I think the speed. I mean, everyone's bigger, stronger, faster, but just the decision making, the quickness. You get the puck, and then you gotta get rid of it right away. You don't have time to stick handle, make the extra move. Gotta have your head up at all times. And I think, yeah, the biggest thing was just the decision making.
Now, what's it been like so far to play under Coach DeRoe, and have you learned anything under him so far in your first year with Cornell?
Yeah, coach is amazing coach. Obviously, another reason why I went to Cornell is just a amazing coach. The whole coaching staff, Coach Jackson, Coach Edith. I learned so much for them in just my first year, and I really grew as a player. I think in my first year, just the video sessions, all the on ice work we did, and I'm just looking forward to the next 3 years with them. So.
Now, in your freshman year, your team was one of the best teams in the country. How did you maintain that success throughout the regular season with all the expectations that Cornell had, being one of the top ranked teams in the country?
Yeah, I think, we try not to think about it too much. Our group was just so tight. I mean, right when I got on campus, our seniors, our captains, our coaches, it was just like a family from the get go, and that's something that we really prided ourselves on. We were a really cohesive, really close group of people. It didn't matter what your role was on the team. You were a part of the team, and everyone was contributing. And I think that's why we had so much success. We were just uh, a unit of like one. We moved as one, and it was an amazing year, and just sad how it ended.
Yeah, you lost to Princeton in the ECAC final. What do you remember from that game, and how you use it for motivation for next year?
Yeah, that was a tough game. We were up 2-0 at the beginning. They called a timeout, I remember, and it was 2-2, and we went to OT, and just a fluky goal, honestly, to end it in OT. But it was sad. I mean, everyone was really sad in the locker room. We felt like, uh, we could have won that game, but we also knew we probably weren't out of it. And then it's hard thinking back, that was our senior's last game in a Cornell jersey, and it's just tough. But I think, yeah, like you said, just take from that game, kind of adds fuel to the fire for next year. We want to come out and hopefully win the ECAC championship some point.
Now, you were supposed to play Northeastern before everything got shut down. Where were you when you found out that you weren't going to play another game for the regular season and or for the playoffs? And like, what was
Yeah,
how'd you like to deal with that news?
it was tough. I found out actually on Twitter, which was an unfortunate way to find out. I remember I was just sitting in my dorm room with my roommate and some of my other teammates. We were watching, ESPN, and they had just shut down the NBA, um, and then we were like, "Are we next?" But we hadn't heard anything. So I was walking to the rink, like literally almost in the locker room, and I saw the NCAA tweeted out that they were canceling the winter championships. And then we walked in the locker room, and everyone knew. There was not really a dry eye in the room. And then coach came in and talked to us. It was just a sad day, yeah, for all of us.
Now, you're losing a very big senior class from last year. How do you try to replace the impact that they had on your team?
Yeah, I mean, I think all six of those players are irreplaceable, on the ice and off the ice. They're amazing people, amazing players. So I think, just people on our team are going to have to step up into a bigger roles. And yeah, that's really what it's going to take, I think.
Now, something else that was introduced to college hockey this year was 3-on-3 overtime. What's that going to be like as an offensive player to have more space on the ice and have more offensive opportunities? Because I know you were saying in the beginning of the podcast that you were kind of practicing it for this offseason.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I love watching it in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for my game, I'm more speed and skill player. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. And I'm just excited for the opportunity to play 3-on-3 if we get in that situation.
I heard talking to other players that you have to be a little more defensively minded in those 3-on-3 overtime situations because if you make one little defensive mistake, it can cause an odd man rush. Is that something you're going to be prepared for when you're in those situations?
Yeah, I think it's a lot different because there's so much space on the ice, 3-on-3. So you have to be conscious of, who's on the ice and where they are, and not get puck watching. So yeah, I think seen a lot in the NHL. They kind of play man on man. You just follow your guy no matter what position she is. So we'll see. We'll see how we approach it, but it should be fun.
Now, how are you going to try to maintain possession of the puck, especially in the offensive zone? Because that's a key part of 3-on-3. Like, what's your secret for maintaining possession in the offensive zone so you can create line changes for your team and sustain offensive pressure in the O zone?
Yeah, I think, if you need a line change, I'm all for, taking it back out of the zone, and then kind of regrouping to get back in the zone. But just puck protection, moving the puck around, I think is key.
Now, what's it like to play at line or rink, and what's it like being a player in that such of a great atmosphere? Because I've never been there before, but I've seen some of the clips, and
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Lina's a great place to play. I couldn't ask for a better home rink to play in. Obviously, the men's have great support, but the women's team, the fan support for us is amazing too. It's really cool being a female hockey player and getting that much support from the fans. It's a great place to play, and I just hope they're back next year.
Now, what's your favorite road arena to play in?
Ah, gosh. I really like playing at Clarkson. Actually, that was my first weekend. It's a unique rink. Harvard's cool. Their rink's really nice. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. I'm looking forward to going to St. Lawrence. Their rink was under construction when we played them, so we didn't play them at their home rink, but I've heard that's really cool too.
Now, talk about the freshman class that's on your team this year. Talk about the impact that they're going to make for the team next year, and just some of the players that are on that freshman class. Because I know you know Lily Delianidis. You played with her with Blake, so just talk about some of the impact that those freshmen are going to make.
Yeah, I think the freshman class is going to play a big role in our team next year. Obviously, there's some really talented players. Lily, I played with in high school. She's a great competitor, a great player. She's going to be really good for us. I don't really know much about. I know them personally, but I haven't played as much hockey with them. But I expect everyone on our team to contribute next year, and we'll just see what that looks like when the time comes.
Now, I want to ask you about some of your teammates you got to play with. One of those teammates was Jamie Berbine. What was it like being her teammate, and what was she like both on and off the ice? Because she was obviously one of the best defensemen in college hockey last year.
Yeah, James just uh, she's mesmerizing to watch out there. Like sometimes it's just hard. You'll be in line and she's doing these whack spinoramas, toe drags. She's just so skilled, but she's an even better person off the ice. She's one of the you know nicest people you ever meet. She's really funny, just like the best teammate. I can't say enough good things about her.
Now, you also got to play with Kristen O'Neill. What was she like as a teammate, both on and off the ice? And talk about the leadership she brought to your team being a captain.
Yeah, Chris is just the hardest worker I've ever seen. She's always giving it her all 110% every, doesn't matter where she is in the gym, practice, whatever she's doing, she's always giving it her all. And that's something I admired about her. And yeah, as a captain, she just led by example. Like I said, her work ethic was unmatched. She was always battling it out with whoever, wanting to come out with the puck. And yeah, she was a great player to play with too, and a great leader.
We're now in the non-hockey segment of the podcast where I ask you some non-hockey questions. My first non-hockey question to you is who has the best style on the team besides yourself?
Oh gosh, I would have to say, well, James had good style, but this year I'd say like Kaylin Isaac. She's got
Mhm.
pretty good style.
Now, who is the funniest on the team?
Gosh, there's some funny people. Devin Fascinato for
Mhm.
sure.
Now, what is the worst commercial you've ever seen and why?
Oh gosh. Uh, I don't know. I think the commercials I see a lot are really redundant, like progressive. Honestly, I don't like progressive commercials that much. Flo, I think she's kind of annoying.
Yeah. You don't like Jamie? Everyone seems like, especially since they was ragging on him on the commercials.
No, he's pretty funny. He's funny.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm trying to think what else. I think like the one commercial I like, but it's gonna get old eventually, is that like Scoop There It Is Geico commercial. I see it
Oh
all
yeah,
the
that
time.
one's pretty.
My
Yeah.
parents love it, but like I know it's gonna get annoying eventually. Like I'm giving it 2 weeks before like it starts getting super repetitive because that's what happens with every Geico ad, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like it is pretty repetitive already. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mhm. Now, what is the most interesting thing you've seen or read this week?
Oh gosh. Um, we have the paper here. Paige Beckers and Jalen Suggs are both from Minnesota. It's not
Mhm.
really interesting or crazy, but it's pretty cool. Both those players are the top players. They're both freshmen for NCAA basketball, and it's pretty cool reading about them in the paper every day.
Yeah, for me, it was probably like today reading that UMass is going to be missing some of their players for the Frozen Four game that they're going to have on Thursday. Like they're only gonna have one goalie, so I'm interested to see like how that's gonna work out.
I know. I saw they're also getting 2 players back from injury. Hopefully, it will help them out, but their depth will definitely be tested.
Especially against a team like UMD, who obviously
Yeah,
is very well conditioned after having that 5 overtime game a few weeks ago.
that's crazy.
Now, what is something you wish more people knew about yourself besides being a good hockey player?
Ah, I like to cook. I'm
Nice.
actually a pretty decent cook, I think. So maybe people give me a little more respect on that end. I've cooked. Kayla and I will tell you, make her some good pancakes. So
That's awesome. Are you more of a breakfast type of cook, or do you like cooking like all different types of meals, like dinner,
yeah, I
lunch?
like all different types of meals. I just tried making. I made a homemade sushi actually a few weeks
Mhm.
ago. That was pretty fun and new. But yeah, all types of meals.
That's cool. That's cool. How do you make sushi? Because it seems very difficult if you don't have
Yeah,
like the right ingredients.
you gotta get the special sushi rice, all sticky. It's super sticky, and then the seaweed, and then you put the rice on the seaweed, cover it, and you have to get like a sushi roller. So you put whatever you want in there, and then you use that to roll it up.
Do you know how to make banana bread or I guess like chicken parm? Because that's something I want to learn how to make.
Yeah, I made banana bread. I've never made chicken parm,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's good. I get chicken parm on the road occasionally.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah.
That's my favorite meal, so I just had to ask that. Now, back to some hockey questions. I guess what should be done to help grow women's hockey, in your opinion, since you've been involved with it for quite some time?
Yeah, I think just people need to give it a chance, just watch it. I mean, there's some amazing athletes who play women's hockey. I know the PWPHA and the NWHL were both telecast on NBCSN, which is really cool. And it'd be nice, hopefully, at some point, to have one league with some unity. So you don't want to have to watch 2 separate leagues. But I think it's really good what's being done, and the NHL is getting behind it, which is cool to have support from them. And I think people are going to start to notice that the women's game is super fun to watch. It's fast. Everyone's really skilled. So then the Olympics are coming up next year, which will be exciting.
Definitely. And is there any advice you would give a younger player who's trying to pursue a Division I college hockey scholarship?
Yeah, I would just say, you know, the one thing you can, just control what you can control. Don't worry about anyone else or what other people think. Just keep your head down and work hard and do whatever you can. Especially when no one's watching, whether it's shooting pucks in the driveway, secondly in the basement. Those are things I wish I would have done more as a younger kid, and I think would make the world of a difference now.
Is there any shout outs you'd like to give to any of your teammates, friends, or family members?
I'll give my shout out to 108 Stewart. It was my house back in Ithaca. I miss them and seeing them every day, and just my team, everyone on my team. I miss being around them, seeing them every day, and just talking about whatever, whatever it may be.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Izzy. I really appreciate it. You're super fun to watch as a player, and you're also a better person off the ice. So stay safe. Good luck the rest of this off season, and I can't wait to watch you play next year.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt.
No problem. Now, just one question.